What would you do if your billion-dollar business vanished overnight? Not slowed down, not took a hit. I mean evaporated. That's exactly what happened to one of the world's most famous companies in March of 2020. Bookings plunged over 80%. Revenue fell off a cliff. They were burning through millions in cash every week. Experts were writing their obituary. This wasn't just a crisis, it was a corporate extinction event. But what happened next defied all logic. Instead of collapsing, this company staged one of the most incredible comebacks in modern business history. This is the story of how, in the face of total disaster, they didn't just survive. They completely reinvented themselves. Before the pandemic, this company was the undisputed king of a new way to travel. They didn't own a single property, yet they were the largest accommodation provider on the planet. They empowered millions of everyday people to become entrepreneurs, renting out spare rooms, cozy apartments, and even quirky tree houses. The model was a spectacular success. They were valued at a staggering $31 billion. They were expanding into transportation, media, and building lavish new headquarters. The future seemed limitless. They were the Silicon Valley darling that had truly changed the world. But their greatest strength became their greatest vulnerability. Their entire business was built on a simple, fragile idea. People traveling to new places and staying in strangers' homes. And in the spring of 2020, that idea became a public health nightmare. Global travel shut down. Borders closed. Fear replaced wanderlust. The very concept their company was built on was now toxic. The numbers were catastrophic. In just 8 weeks, the company lost over $1 billion in bookings due to mass cancellations. To stay afloat, they had to secure a $2 billion emergency loan with a brutal 11% interest rate, the kind usually reserved for companies on the brink of collapse. Their valuation plummeted from $31 billion to a mere $18 billion. The situation was desperate. The CEO knew drastic action was needed. He went through the company's finances, line by line, cutting everything that wasn't essential. They slashed marketing budgets, put all new projects on ice, and made an agonizing decision. They laid off 25% of their workforce, nearly 2,000 employees. It was a painful, soul-crushing move, but they were fighting for their life. Yet even these drastic cuts weren't enough. You can't save your way to growth. The fundamental problem remained. Nobody was traveling. As the leadership team sifted through the data, looking for any sign of hope, they noticed a tiny, curious trend. While international bookings were dead and city stays were ghost towns, a few bookings were trickling in. But they weren't for Paris, New York, or Tokyo. They were for a cabin 2 hours drive away, a beach house a few towns over, a rustic farmstead accessible by car. People were trapped in their homes, desperate for a change of scenery. They weren't traveling for business or international tourism. They were seeking an escape, a safe, private, nearby escape. They were trading crowded hotel lobbies for secluded getaways. The CEO saw this not as a fluke, but as a lifeline. He made a bold declaration. We are pivoting the entire company to focus on nearby travel. It was a monumental risk. They were abandoning their core international market to bet on a trend that didn't even have a name. This wasn't a small tweak. It was a complete overhaul. The company redesigned its entire website and app. The algorithm was reprogrammed. Instead of showing you romantic getaways in Italy, the homepage now asked, "Where can you go within 300 miles of here?" They showcased everything from secluded forest cabins and lavish lake houses to simple suburban homes with a backyard and a pool. They introduced new filters for self-check-in and enhanced cleaning to address health concerns. And the world responded. By the summer of 2020, over 50% of all bookings were for stays within 200 miles of the guest's location. A new type of travel was born, the workcation. With remote work becoming the norm, people realized they could work from a scenic cottage as easily as from their city apartment. Families booked month-long stays to break the monotony of lockdown. The company had accidentally tapped into a massive, unmet need. They weren't just a travel company anymore. They were a provider of local experiences and personal space. They had turned their biggest weakness, their reliance on hyper-local drive-to locations, into their greatest strength, while the traditional hotel industry, anchored to business districts and airports, continued to drown. The results were nothing short of miraculous. Just months after staring into the abyss, the company announced a surprise profit. By the end of the year, they executed a stunning IPO, going public with a market valuation of over $100 billion, more than 5 times their low-point valuation and triple their pre-pandemic peak. They didn't just recover, they emerged stronger, leaner, and more focused than ever before. They proved that resilience isn't about waiting for a storm to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain. By listening to the data and having the courage to abandon their old playbook, they discovered a future they never knew existed. So, what's the ultimate lesson here? It's that the most dangerous phrase in business is, "We've always done it this way." Success can make companies rigid, but true, enduring success belongs to those who are agile, who listen to their customers, and who are brave enough to pivot when the world changes around them. This story is a masterclass in modern strategy. If you want to see more deep dives into how companies like Tesla, Netflix, or Apple navigate impossible challenges and change entire industries, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We break down the business stories that matter. Let us know in the comments. What other incredible business turnarounds should we cover next? Thanks for watching.